Welcome to Think Big with Michael Zellner, powered by Platinum Jewelers. My guest today for episode 119 is Kaitlyn Grant. Kaitlyn is the vice president of Coldwell Banker Richard Ellis, known to the public as CBRE. CBRE Group Incorporated is the world's largest real estate and investment firm. Kaitlyn graduated from the University of Memphis with a degree in finance and a concentration in real estate. She is a go-getter, always continuing to educate herself by taking courses from the Appraisal Institute. And she's also a candidate for her MAI, which is a Member Appraisal Institute designation. Thanks for joining me today, Kaitlyn.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So obviously you're really good at real estate. We know you love real estate. And I see from, a lot of social media posts that you also love to travel to a lot of fun places. What else do you like to do when you're not working or traveling?
I am a social butterfly. So I love spending time with my family and friends. I also like to work out. I've got a pup. She's actually laying over here, and spend time with her when I can. So I would say that's probably takes up most of my free time outside of work and outside of traveling, for sure.
And you've been to some fun places.
I have.
Yeah,
I do like to travel. I hate to admit, I just got my passport last year, and I finally traveled out of the country. We went to the Bahamas, which was awesome.
Yeah, I saw those pictures down at Paradise Island. It's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
So you went to Olive Branch Elementary and Chickasaw Elementary schools. As outgoing as you are, I bet you were probably a really fun kid to be around. What are a few memories of your childhood years when you think about today still make you smile?
Yeah. So this will actually, it could throw you for a loop. It seems to throw most people for a loop when I tell them this. I was very much a tomboy growing up, and I still am. I know, like, from looking at my photos, you probably can't tell. So, just as a kid, I was always hanging out with my guy cousins, and I have a sister and a girl cousin too, but I feel like we were always getting into trouble. And when I say trouble, just doing silly stuff. We would we would climb on people's houses and literally have bottle rocket wars, like shoot bottle rockets at one another. And that we always had this place we called the Dirt Hill. It was just this place that we kind of hung out, and it was covered in honeysuckles. And that's actually something, every time I smell a honeysuckle, it literally takes me back to my childhood immediately. Yeah. So, I was a typical kid. I was always, climbing to trees on houses, I'm trying to think of just any like fun stories that stand out. Oh,
go ahead.
I do have one. So again, going back to being a tomboy, so I had a phase where I was really into skateboarding and skating. And we were home alone, my cousin Davin and I, for some reason, not for very long, but we got the grand idea to somehow pull his dresser from his bedroom out into the driveway. And we had some plywood, and we nailed the plywood into the dresser to make a ramp. You can imagine how mad his mother was when she got home. Yeah.
How did you get on houses? Did y'all use ladders and stuff, or what did you do?
There's no telling. I'm surprised that I've walked away. I was on crutches a lot as a child, but it was always just with sprained ankles. I've only broken my arm, and it wasn't even from anything like of climbing a house. I actually fell off of a countertop. So
nice.
Yeah, out of all things.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was made aware of one funny time from your childhood. You were about 8 or 9 years old. You were pretty athletic. You played softball. However, one time little Kaitlyn spent too much time in the sun, got sunburn on her shoulders and those yucky water blisters. Yeah. You weren't going to get to play in the softball game. You weren't happy. Do you remember what happened after that?
I do. I was so fair-skinned as a child, and it was like a tournament. It was like a weekend-long tournament, and it probably in the middle of July, and the sun was just beaming down all weekend. And I was so sunburned, I couldn't move my arms, but that wasn't going to stop me.
Right.
And I remember just being out in the outfield, or maybe I was at third base. I begged my coach, like, just put me in. And I went running out there, could barely even move. And he said, "No, come on back.
That's the story I heard.
You're going to do more harm than good out there."
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Running with your not being able to move your shoulders, that's not fun. Yeah. That doesn't work really well.
No.
You graduated from Olive Branch High School, I believe, in 2010. What did you like most about high school? And, are there any teachers or coaches that had a real positive influence on your life?
Oh gosh, yeah. A ton, actually. So I was very much involved in school. It was just something that was instilled as me as a young child, whether it be with athletics or academics, or other school clubs. My favorite thing about school, yeah, was just I would just say just being involved. I mean, there were times where I would get to school at 6 o'clock in the morning because I'd have some meeting with, I don't know, National Honor Society or whatever. And sometimes I'd leave that school until 7 o'clock at night. I
Wow.
really enjoyed being there. Just, I had a ton of friends. Some years I was class president. I was an overachiever in high school.
Those are some good times then.
Yeah. But as far as a teacher or a coach, I mean, gosh, so many of them have like touched my heart and still keep up with me, even now, many years later. And even teachers from elementary school. That's the great thing about Facebook is, we
Yeah.
get to keep in touch. Um, oh man, I don't know. Like I said, a lot of teachers poured into me, and I had a lot of great coaches too. It's hard to pick one. I can't just
That's
pick
okay. I
one.
understand.
Yeah,
As long as you had a lot of them that were
I
influenced, that's
did.
great. Yeah, the Facebook is great because you get to keep up with each other with teachers. And so I have a few teachers from years ago that responded and said, "It's good that you made something of yourself because I wasn't sure for a while that you would."
You know what? Now that I've given it a little bit more thought, Miss Cassio, she was my art teacher. I adore Miss Cassio. She was awesome.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You said, quote, happiness is a steak dinner. Come back for more inspirational quotes, unquote. You were at Parlor.
Yeah.
Why does steak make Kaitlyn so happy?
I'm just a red meat kind of girl. I don't shy away from food. I went on I'll say a date recently, and he even said, he's like, please don't tell me you're one of those girls who's not going to eat in front of me. I was like, you don't have to worry about that.
Sweet. Nice.
Yeah.
So you're not just to go out and order a salad, girl.
No, honestly, a salad is much harder to eat than like a steak or anything else, trying to
Yeah.
get the lettuce right and everything.
Right. And worrying about it getting caught in between your teeth on
Yes,
the
yeah,
day. That's that. Yeah. You don't want that to happen.
absolutely.
Now, I heard that you're a humongous Brett Favre fan and you had his jersey, for any team he played for.
Yeah.
Tell the audience about the slideshow at Olive Branch High School party when you rolled your bottom lip and there was something on there.
Oh gosh, who's giving you this information? Yeah, so big Brett Favre fan, which is kind of you shouldn't really boast about it right now just because the trouble he has found himself in. But at the time I was a huge Brett Favre
Right.
fan. And everybody's like, oh, does that make you a Green Bay fan? I was like, I mean, when he was with Green Bay, I was a Bay fan. And same when he was with the Jets, with the Vikings.
Right.
But yeah, so I have one tattoo, and it really doesn't even count. Um, a group of girls and we were out for spring break in Gulf Shores, 16, maybe 17 years old, underage. I can say this now that I'm 31.
Sure.
My mom knows I had a fake ID. We all had fake IDs, and we were all like, let's go get a tattoo. Yes, but let's get one where our parents won't ever see it. And I think like a guy friend of ours had just gotten something on his lip. We're like, let's get him on our lip. Kaitlyn, you go first. I always got, something
Of
go
course.
first. And we go to this little tattoo parlor, and the guy was like, okay, well, what do you want? And I was like, I haven't given it any thought. And finally he looked at me, he was like, what's something you really like? And I was like, Brett Favre. So I have Favre on the inside of my lip. You can imagine though what it looks like now. There's not much of it left.
Right.
So, but there is. So going back to the slideshow, yes, it was my best friend and we had a graduation party, and she put together a nice little photo slideshow for everybody to watch, our family and friends. Why she included the picture of, 16-year-old me holding my lip down in the tattoo parlor, I don't know, but my mom cut me a look. And I was like, it's a done deal.
I bet that was a very interesting look that you got from your mom.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's a funny story to tell people now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After graduating, from the University of Memphis in 2015, you interned at Sperry Van Ness and for M. Turley Properties for several months.
Yeah.
What did you learn most about your time during both of those internships?
That I hate cold calling. Cold calling is not for me. No, that was basically what I did with Sperry Van Ness, was a lot of cold calling. We were trying to lease up. I think I'm going to say this address correctly. I can literally see it on the building. It's like carved into my mind. I think it's 1407 Union, and basically spent months just doing that. It had a high vacancy, and honestly, I don't know if anything ever really came from it. And then with Charlie, it really just gave me an idea of, with Charlie, because he's in brokerage and in development, but he didn't specialize in a property type. So from there, I kind of picked out like what properties really interested me. And office was not one of them. And I would say that was the biggest thing with those two
Cold calling is very
internships.
difficult to do. It's even harder now because of the way phones are and people
Oh yeah,
have the
spam
number.
calls.
Yeah.
People don't have patience for that anymore.
No, I would hate
No.
doing cold call. I sold Cutco knives when I was in college, and thankfully, you started off with friends and family, then got into referrals. So there was
Yeah.
never any cold calling. So it was much easier than that.
Right, right. I'm much better in like a networking environment rather
Yeah,
than just cold calling.
absolutely. I know you were involved with Lambda Alpha Student Real Estate Association at the University of Memphis, and also you're president of that organization too.
Hmm.
Your mom, Teresa's first career was in property management, and she told me that you were very intrigued with it. Is
Yeah.
that sort of a big part of the reason that maybe helped jumpstart you to make the decision to go into real
Oh, yeah.
estate?
100%. I would say that. And because it was nothing for, my mom was a single mother, so it was nothing for my sister and I to have to travel to work with her sometimes as young kids. So yeah, I would tour properties with her quite often as a kid. And not only that, my grandmother and I, we loved driving around and looking at new constructed homes and like walking through homes. I would say that those were probably the two biggest factors that really sparked interest in real estate for me at a young age.
I like the same thing when I was young. I used to love walking if something was being
Loved it.
constructed. Just love
Yes.
walking through and taking a
And
look. I
two,
thought it
just
was
the
cool.
smell of like fresh paint and
Yeah,
wood.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The National Society of Leadership and Success is the nation's largest leadership honor society. Quote, students are selected by their college for membership based on either academic standing or leadership potential. Candidacy is a nationally recognized achievement of honorable distinction, unquote. Kaitlyn, there's 751 chapters nationally, and you were a
Yeah.
member while you were at Memphis. How did you receive that outstanding honor?
I it was a surprise. I got a mail piece of mail, and honestly, till this day, I don't know which professor recommended me for it. I would have to believe it was probably one of my real estate professors, because that's honestly when I started taking college seriously.
Right.
Because those first 2 years they make you take the typical courses, and I had no interest in biology or history or anything like that. And so I really didn't focus and truly get involved when I was in college until those last couple of years of college, when I really started taking my real estate courses. If I had to guess, it was probably one of them, because a lot of people don't know that you can even study real estate at most universities, especially Memphis. So a lot of the time there would be classes where there maybe would be two or three of us in there. So we
Wow.
were, yeah, yeah. So we were very hands-on and everything with our professors.
That's wonderful. And so that
Yeah.
helps, obviously, having that, one-on-one touch, and, it gives you even more,
Oh,
hands-on,
yeah.
where learn the skill so much better.
And the coolest thing about that too, a lot of my professors were actually real estate professionals, like in Memphis. They were kind of like, I guess, what you would call like an adjunct professor, or something they just did on the side.
Right.
So I actually work with a lot of them, or alongside a lot of them now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of your mom, Teresa, she said of you, quote, defeat or failure is not in her vocabulary, unquote.
Yeah.
This goes back to that Bird softball game. I'm aware you just wanted to play no matter what. It seems like you've always been a fighter,
Yeah.
and you never see quitting as an option.
No, very strong-willed. I was going to say a lot of people confuse it with being stubborn or hard-headed, but that's not confusion. That's also very true.
Mm.
I'm just one of those people. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to be good at it, or I'm going to go down trying.
Right.
Yeah. I've always been like that as a young kid. So very competitive.
And that helps a lot with what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people understand that. I mean, even though, a lot of it is you competing against you.
Oh, 1000%. And two, I got into this industry at such a, I say young age, and two, just being a female. And so, um, a lot of people are like, did you not find that intimidating? And maybe, but if anything, I found it more as an opportunity, like to fuel me.
Right.
I knew I kind of stood out, but it was like, again, it was more fuel of like, okay, go prove yourself. You can run with the big dogs. So,
And you're doing it.
yeah.
For a short period of time, you were at Utley Properties, and then for over 5 years, you were a commercial real estate appraiser for Integra Realty
Yep.
Resources. Then a big day, an announcement came on March 11th, 2021. You said, quote, "I'm so excited to announce I've officially accepted a position with CBRE as Vice President of Valuation and Advisory Services. I'm thrilled to learn and grow in this role with my new team as a part of the largest real estate firm in the world. With this new position, it's also come in a new location. I never thought I'd see the day, but I'm packing up my bags, headed to Nashville. But for the record, Memphis isn't always will be my home. Lastly, as excited as I am for this opportunity, I'm also sad to leave behind a huge chapter of my life. I've spent 5 years, my entire appraisal career with Integra, and I credit any of the future successes to them. Because of the entire Integra team, I have a firm foundation of knowledge and experience that will allow me to transition into this new season of my life proudly and confidently. I honestly get emotional when thinking of how to express my gratitude to this team and company because they've given me so much. P.S. When it feels scary to jump, that's exactly when you jump. It obviously felt scary, but you jumped big time, didn't you?"
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely scary. I went back and forth with that decision with my now supervisor boss. And I think for a while there, he didn't think that I was going to make the jump and come over because I was so hesitant. Because I was comfortable where
Sure.
I was at with Integra. I knew Integra. But it was an opportunity that I just couldn't turn down. And looking back, I had no clue what this opportunity, the doors that were going to open with this. It's incredible to look back 2 years from now and just, wow. So yes, like I said, I was going to credit any of my success to Integra, but now I've got Nick Barwick. He is my supervisor now with CBRE. He's actually in Atlanta. He has been such a rock star for me. He has just supported me from day one. So
That's awesome. And making that change is good.
it
Recently
is.
talked about being comfortable.
It is.
Sometimes we get too comfortable and things like that. So the only way to grow is to change.
Absolutely. And that goes back to that quote, when it's scary to jump, that's when you jump. And that's all about, you don't ever want to look back and be in the same place, 5 years forward. And that's actually one of the scariest things that I can think of, is to look back and not see any growth or any change.
Right.
Yeah.
And also think, gosh, what if I should have done this and I should have
I
done
know.
that?
You don't ever want to sit there and say, what if?
Right. Exactly.
So,
CBRE has been in business for over 100 years, has over 450 offices worldwide. As I mentioned earlier, it's the world's largest commercial real estate and investment firm.
yeah.
You just mentioned you passed 2 years now with the company. What have you enjoyed most about working for CBRE?
So CBRE was actually, they call it the big green machine. And it was probably number one on my radar coming out of college that I wanted to work for CBRE. Couldn't tell you exactly what I wanted to do, but I eventually one day I wanted to be at that company. And so I think what's so exciting to work at CBRE is too, so Integra was strictly just an appraisal firm. So all of my colleagues were just appraisers.
Right.
Here at CBRE, I've got industrial brokers sitting next to me. I've got, office leasing people sitting next to me. And it keeps me fresh, to do my job, to constantly hear them and, speaking to one another on the deals that they're working on. So I think that's the most exciting part, kind of seeing their job day in and day out, and not just on the appraisal side of things.
Right. So having a variety of things to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to make it much more interesting. And, you actually, I think a lot of times you look forward to going to work more every day because you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. And to just the camaraderie with, sometimes when you're in a room full of appraisers, you can, because our job can be very stressful and you can just feel the weight sometimes. So I would, if a guy's just done a huge deal, and to bring his excitement into the office, I love it. So
Right. And you see the name, I see it everywhere.
everywhere,
So that might have just gotten instilled in your brain, like, I want to work for that
Maybe
company.
maybe so, because like you said, it's literally on every other corner on a sign somewhere. So
Are you shopping for a new watch, an engagement ring, any kind of jewelry at all? What's up, Memphis? This is Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Grizzlies, encouraging you all to shop where I shop, Platinum Jewelers here in Memphis. Platinum Jewelers has a big selection of earrings, stockable rings, luxury watches, necklaces, bracelets, really whenever you need. 9387 Poplar next to Fresh Market in Germantown. So if you need anything jewelry related, go to my spot, Platinum Jewelers.
You said, quote, sometimes I find myself in a pool of anxiousness, worrying about the future, my progress in life and where I am currently. But then I remember God asks us to cultivate what he has given us. To the people in my life and to all this possible for me, it is truly beautiful. Birthdays are a perfect time to self-reflection, to look back on the past year, to learn and grow, and to get excited for what's to come next. And continuous journey of trial and error. But that being said, I've always strived to leave people better than I find them, to be someone who nurtures and builds, who has an understanding and forgiving heart. And this is something I pray I will continue to work on through year 31, to give back to those who've given me every single day of my life. Grateful for all the love and grace you show me. I am so lucky, unquote. That's awesome.
yeah.
What would a 31-year-old Kaitlyn love to tell 18-year-old Kaitlyn just getting out of high school about life?
Oh gosh. To maybe not have set expectations for yourself, and sometimes not sometimes, it always is best to let go and let God. And I've had to learn that the hard way, because I can be somewhat of a control freak. But I've learned you can have this plan in your head your whole life, and there will be something to come and wreck it or redirect it, and that's God. And so that's something, it's been a hard pill to swallow, but looking back, I'm like, everything that has happened has led me here. So I'm so grateful.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
In what ways does working at CBRE enable you to grow not only professionally, but personally too?
So I would have to say the biggest thing since I've been with CBRE, I have helped build and lead a team, which I never did before. At Integra, I was just a one-man show. I was just took care of myself. Here, this has taught me to be very selfless, because I do have a whole team now that I was just speaking to you earlier before we started, how things have kind of slowed down. And well, with that, with work, I bring in quite a bit of work for our team. And, some of my teammates have children, families at home. And while we're slow, I want to make sure that they are fed almost before myself. Yeah. I would say being selfless, because of this whole team structure that CBRE, that's taught that I've had to learn that for sure. Trying to think of something else. Really just to be a leader. Again, because like I said, I came from just being my own, worker. And now just having to lead this team, it makes me step up every single day. Even when I'm having bad days, I try not to let them see it. Sometimes I may not do the best job at it, but I would say that.
And that's not easy, going from, doing it all on your own, then all of a sudden you have other people that you're responsible for. People don't understand. That's a big deal.
It is, because I'll tell you right now, one of my worst qualities is probably time management, which is crazy, because that's probably one of the things you need to be very good at, being an appraiser. So it's one thing for me to have to manage my time. It's another for me to have to kind of manage a whole team's, like, their time management as well. So it's definitely been a challenge, but I've enjoyed it very much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You said, quote, imagine your life career doing a complete 180 in a matter of 1 year. Thankful for a boss, team, and company that not only supports and believes in me, but truly wants the best for me. Rookie of the year for the #1 valuation advisor firm in the world. Now that's pretty dang cool, if the word cool even exists in appraiser vocabulary, unquote. I think the word cool does exist, even in the appraiser world. 2021 rookie of the year for CBRE, VAS, Kaitlyn. I don't know you, but I'm pretty proud of you myself. Just hearing that, that's pretty amazing. Just to do that your first year there and to have that responsibility. Awesome accomplishment. Did you have any idea it was coming?
Yeah, no. And I'll tell you why, Michael. I'm a little ashamed to admit this. So I did once when I took this position, I moved to Nashville, which I didn't know if it was going to be temporary, if it was going to be for 5 years, 10 years, or what. Um, and that was the first time I really moved away from home. And I'm sure you've heard stories about Nashville. It is just a big party right now.
Yes.
And so my boss loves to tell people this now. My first month, I spent most of my time on Broadway. So I was not very impressive to my boss. And I think he was thinking, like, did we just make the biggest mistake by hiring her? And anyway, I finally kicked it in gear and took off. And I surprised him, there towards the end of the year. And no, I had no idea I didn't even know that was an award, honestly.
Really?
So when I got that, yeah, it definitely took me by surprise for sure. But I was
And
so grateful because again, coming off just previously that year of leaving that, Integra, it was so difficult. And then to be rewarded with that award, it was a great feeling.
Broadway can suck you in if you let it.
It sure can. Oh gosh, yeah, it sure can.
I mean, it definitely is a fun place. But the main thing is you got it out of your system
I
for
got
the
it
most
out.
part, and you did good. So
I had to pick. I
congratulations.
was like, I have to pick Broadway or I have to pick my career. I
Right.
can't have both.
Exactly. You can have all the fun, but you got to make sure the career gets going for sure.
Exactly.
Obviously, both you and the team at CBRE are doing something right. What do you believe that sets CBRE apart from so many other, real estate companies and investment firms?
Oh goodness. One, I think our physical footprint. We, have an office in every major city and even smaller cities too. So I do have people who contact me. I'll kind of use this as an example. I've brought in a almost 40 property portfolio. Granted, only like 3 of the properties would be in my area that I cover, my team and I cover, but I can still assist this client of mine because I can, feed these out to the rest of the offices across the country to get these appraisals done. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And again, going back to CBRE is not just an appraisal firm. We are a true full brokerage. So I can't do my job without data. And most of our data comes from either our own research with transactions or just relying on brokers in our interviews with them. And so again, it's so cool to have them sitting there in our office, instead of having to pick up the phone and try to get somebody to answer, hey, so and so, what did this sell for? What's the cap rate? So I think that we have an advantage there too, for sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You said, quote, "So can you sell my house?" question mark. After I've said I appraise commercial real estate, unquote. That's pretty funny that you have people ask you that question. How often does that happen to you? And do you give like a smart aleck response to it? Do you shake your head? Do you laugh? What do you do?
Depending on the person and the situation is how I'm going to respond. But it is just kind of funny. I literally will go into detail, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a commercial real estate appraiser. Make sure I say that.
Yeah.
And I get it because I used to not know what appraising entailed either. And so I will just say I appraise commercial real estate. And, it's always like a deer in the headlights. And finally it's like, oh my gosh, so you can sell my home. And I'm like,
Did
nope.
you just listen to me?
I can't even appraise your home. I don't even know how to appraise your home. I can find somebody though.
Sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure you have tons of real estate friends just like
Oh
I do.
yeah.
We talked about Paradise Island, the Bahamas. You went last September. I've been there a few times in my life. I went to Club Med.
Okay. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I remember
Yep.
that place so well. I had to read this because it's too funny. You said, quote, "Once I give up spicy margaritas and French fries, it's over for you bitches," unquote. Tell us about your trip there. It's a
Oh
pretty
gosh,
beautiful
it's so
place.
funny. Obviously I did that as a joke, but I don't know if you saw the comments. My girlfriend's coming in there
I
to
did.
support me.
I did.
Oh, that trip was so fun. One, I have never, I'm very much a workaholic. I'm trying to work on that. But I have probably never taken off more than normally my trips are long weekends. I'll take off maybe a Thursday and then come back on a Sunday. So I've never taken like a week-long vacation from work. So that was the first one. So you can imagine I was full of anxiety, but at the same time, I'm like, this is incredible. That trip, it was just something else. So we took one day, had our own private boat. We took it out, and just kind of went into the ocean. But there was this, oh, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's just kind of this little island that sits by itself, and it has a bartender and everything, and pool table. I mean, we had the time of our lives that day. We were there all day long. I think we drank all their tequila.
Wow.
I think they had to go restock after that, but we had it to ourselves. But just it was, of course, just the local like islanders there, and we just partied it up. It was incredible. That, and then one other day we took a boat to another island to swim with the pigs. I'm sure you've seen that done before.
Yeah.
That scared me, because meanwhile we're out in the water, probably waist deep, waiting for the pigs to come out. And these are wild pigs, but there are stingrays swimming behind us. And I'm terrified of stingrays ever since Steve Irwin
Yeah.
was killed. I mean, I don't. And so the whole time I was like, I don't care about these pigs. Get me away from this. But it was pretty cool just being out there on that island too, getting to do that. I mean, the Bahamas, it was just incredible. And the sun, that's a different kind of sun down there.
Yeah.
Woo. We got burnt.
Yeah, I must say it's much hotter down there. That sun is much hotter.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful place, though, just to be able to get away from work, to get away
yeah.
from, Memphis or Nashville, and just to be able to relax for a week and think about just nothing else but just, enjoying yourself.
hmm Now, no, don't get me wrong. There were days that I was still calling my boss from the pool.
Of course you are. You workaholic.
I know, but it's just part of the gig.
It is. I understand.
Yeah.
What do you see as the future of CBRE, the growth of the company, and the direction of the commercial real estate industry?
Real estate is it's a funny thing. There's a lot of ups and downs, just as there is with anything, I guess.
Sure.
And as you know, the market has been pretty, I mean, I don't even know there's really a word to describe it. I don't think we've ever seen the market quite like it's been the last 2 years. And which was very surprising, because, when the pandemic hit, I don't think anybody knew what was going to happen,
Right.
I think we're all kind of terrified. We didn't know if we were going to have a job, and it was just crazy how the real estate market just took off and, just kept climbing up and up and up. But as you know, what goes up must come down. And unfortunately, we are kind of in a downturn right now. So we've definitely had our challenges as far as the outlook. It is a guessing game every single day. It changes every single day. Even, the economists can't seem to they don't have their finger on what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
It's hard to say, but as far as CBRE, it's probably one of the safest companies to work for. And they're going to continue to grow over the years. Once this downturn kind of comes to a halt, we'll come back up. We'll start hiring again. So my team and I, we're good. I don't plan for any of us to go anywhere. So.
And everything has its ebbs and flows. Everything goes up and
Yes.
down. So that's just a normal part of life
And
and
it's
business.
just natural. If you look back on our economy, just the dips, and the big dips typically happen every 30-ish years. So I'm hoping we're not about to experience another big dip, because it's not time yet. We already
No.
had that back in 2008. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope so too. Yeah. Hope
Yeah.
everything worked itself out.
Yeah.
You said, quote, "What I enjoy most about our team is the diversity. As a whole, we make up a very small percentage of appraisers, as shown by the statistics research by the Appraisal Institute based on age, race, and gender. We grew from a one-man team to a 7-person office in less than 18 months, which is incredible. Thankful for all the hard work and dedication each of these individuals give every day. It has been a busy and challenging yet prosperous 2 years, given the recent market conditions, and we look forward to continuing riding this crazy wave of real estate market," unquote. Now, you and your team have obviously accomplished a lot in 2 years. What has this all been like for you?
It has been like drinking from a fire hose. No, it's been awesome, because my team, like I said, we're so diverse in so many different ways. And what I mean by that, one, two, just like the statistics. One, you don't see many female appraisers, especially commercial appraisers.
Sure,
And
right.
My teammate Lasagna and I obviously are both females. And then for her to be African American, that it's, and then young. We are such a young team. Had it not been for my teammate Mark, who I think is now 36, because I think the stat is like it's less than 10% of our appraisers are like under the age of 36, and that's my entire team. So the diversity there, but to the diversity in experience. I've got people as green who just out of college who are learning this. And then I've got people who've been doing this for 10 plus years. And just from all different, backgrounds of life. And, we all live differently. Some of us are married with children. Some of us are single, so that's been the coolest part. And that's what I meant kind of like the diversity with my team.
Right.
Because I will say my first boss at Integra, he's now retired, Walter Allen, funny guy, but I remember in our interview, he said, you're going to get a lot of funny looks in your career. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, you don't look like an appraiser. And again, I was like, what does that mean? He said, well, you don't look like me, old, male and white. Well, the white part, but other than that, that's what he said. But he was very much aware. And I love that man for trying to break that mold. He was very much about diversity.
Awesome.
So,
I know you have some really special and close friends in your life, and two of them are Camille Rose Kennedy and Taylor Russell. You said of them, quote, "I love them more than I love White Claws, and that's a lot," unquote.
That's a lot.
Tell us about the special bond and friendship with the three of you.
Yeah, so we've been friends for a very, very long time. I probably met Camille when I was 10 years old, 5th grade, and Taylor a little bit later on in middle school. And that's what all three of us became best friends then. And we've been attached at the hip ever since. And they're so special to me. And they're both married with children now. And I just love seeing them, live out their life. It really is because we've done it all. And here's the coolest thing, especially with females, you'll see that a lot of females don't retain their friendships over the years, especially with a big group, because there's other girls that I'm also friends with. I'm sure you've seen on my Instagram.
Sure.
So larger groups like that to remain friends throughout so many years, because, we can be petty. And so the fact that we've made it through middle school, high school, college, and now here we are, in our adulthood, it's incredible. And they've just always been so supportive of me.
Is that one of them live in Mississippi?
They both live in Mississippi, actually. Yeah.
I think I saw you with a little, maybe named Webb.
Witten.
I'm sorry. I couldn't remember. Yeah, Witten. Okay.
So that's Camille's little boy.
Okay.
And then Taylor has the two little girls, which Charlotte is her oldest. You've got to go see some videos of Charlotte. She is something else. And then her youngest, her name is Caroline. So Charlotte, Caroline, and Witten.
I love kids.
Yeah, me too.
The innocence of children, they're just so much fun.
Well, there's just something so pure about them, and you never know what's going to come out of their mouth.
Yeah.
I just think they're so funny. And actually, I don't know what it is, but I'm like a kid whisperer or a baby whisperer. I do very well with kids.
Well, you're destined to have them one day.
I hope so. I hope so.
You will.
Yeah.
You also have a beautiful dog named Nellie Bo. She is a baby. I believe she's just going to turn 4 this June 16th.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of the two of you where you said, quote, "Every day I grow more and more grateful for this precious life I've been blessed with. Thank you, Lord," unquote. Being a huge dog lover, I told you I have 3 dogs myself.
Oh, wow.
What is she brought to your life?
Oh, gosh. Comfort. I live by myself, and so it's so nice to come home she welcomes me with open arms always.
Yeah, right.
And, she doesn't stay mad long, obviously. She's just brought so much joy. She's the best dog. I would probably say I'd probably split her about 50% of the time. My mom has come to love her as well, to the point where she'll text me and like, "Can I come by and see Nellie? Can I come by and get Nellie? Can she come stay for the week?"
Right. I want to come see you, Kaitlyn. I want to keep seeing you.
I'm like, what? No, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I understand. She's super cute and sweet. But no, she's been the best dog. She's just, everybody that meets her is like, that is the sweetest dog. And she's beautiful. Everywhere we go, she gets complimented. I'm like, thanks. She takes after her mother.
The unconditional love of with dogs. It's just,
Yeah.
wow. You can't beat
You know,
it.
you want to hear some? This is a funny joke my grandfather has told. It's about a dog and the love that dogs have for their owners. I'm going to butcher this joke. I'm
That's
not a joke
okay.
teller, but it's something along the lines of, oh, who is a man's best friend? Is it actually a man's wife or his dog? He says, well, here's a test. Take your wife and take your dog, lock them in the trunk for a couple minutes, open the trunk up. Which one's happy to see you? Yeah.
You didn't butcher it. That's funny.
It's something like that.
Is that your grandfather? Is that Eddie?
That's Eddie. Yeah.
And
Eddie's a
so
cool guy.
Paul just turned 87 last
Mhm.
October. You said to the special man, happy 87th birthday. Tell us about him.
Oh, he's the most special man. And he's very much been not only a grandfather to me, but a father figure as well. He's just cool. For an 87-year-old, the fact that he is an active DJ, like I tell people that, they're like,
Really?
what? Yeah. So he's a DJ not at like the clubs downtown.
Right. Not
It's called
152.
the Memphis Bop Club.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the pictures there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they still get out there and dance. I mean, some of these people can outdance me. It's really cool what they do. They used to do it over the butcher shop. They used to have a big room there, but I think they've
Right.
since moved.
Okay.
But he's just the greatest. He's been so supportive of me, my sister, my cousin, my mother. He's just the most loving man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of your sister, Erica, I reached out to her and asked her if she wanted to share anything with me
Oh
about
no.
you. She said, I definitely had to ask you about your audition to play Annie. She said it was, quote, cute and hilarious. And so you have to share that with us.
So I didn't audition for Annie, but Annie is involved. I know what she's speaking of.
Okay.
So yeah. So Michael, this is something that a lot of people don't know about me. And I think being an appraiser and just doing the career that I'm in, I think a lot of people think I'm probably going to get this wrong, but left brain, which means more like analytical and more logical. I'm probably a pretty even split between a left brain and a right brain person too. I'm can be pretty artistic in different ways. And as a young child, I was very into music and singing. And anyway, I was auditioning for a musical, and I was obsessed with the musical Annie. I was obsessed with it, had the soundtrack and everything. And so I sang those songs all the time. And that's what I auditioned with, was the Annie, The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. Or I don't know the actual name of the song, but it's that song.
Right.
And I was so excited. And I get there, and I'm maybe 10 years old. All the other girls auditioning, they're all in the hallway. They have their Christina Aguilera, their Britney Spears, whatever. And I'm mortified because I have Annie. But I go in this audition, and they play the music and I start going. And well, first they had to stop me in the middle of the audition, and they were like, you don't remember, you have to have a dance, like you have to choreography with it too, and which I had no clue. So there I was on the fly, like making up dances like the sun will come out. But I will say I got I made it into the musical. But one of the judges did say, he was like, you don't know how refreshing it was to see like a kid come in and sing like more of a classical or classic, song rather than Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera. But I was mortified.
Was your sister there for that audition? Or did you
She was not. No, thank goodness, because that would have been even worse.
Oh God, yeah, trying to do it with someone there probably
Yes.
laughing at you the whole time.
Yeah. So
You said, quote, so proud of my mom, Teresa Grant, and best friend Shelby Hunt and the entire needs space self-storage team. Ribbon cutting this morning in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Be on the lookout for more openings locations in the near future, unquote. Obviously, you can probably tell I had a chance to talk to your mom briefly the other night to get a couple of good tidbits about you, which she happily shared. Tell us about mom.
Oh gosh, where do you start? My mom, I would say it's been my biggest inspiration in life. I mean, as a young girl, I was like, I want to grow up to be just like my mom. And then as we grow older, I'm like, oh, there's maybe some things I don't want to be just like her about. But she has instilled so much into me, so many positive things, like my work ethic. We have a lot in common when it comes to that. But the biggest thing about my mom, she's the most compassionate person that I know. She would literally do anything for anyone, give the shirt off her back. And that, it has to account for something when even my own friends and my sister's friends like will refer to her as like a second mom.
Nice.
She's just an incredible person and
And
an
that,
incredible mom and friend. Now we're at the age where we can be friends now. So
and that'll help to make you an incredible mom too one day.
yeah, absolutely.
What are the most important lessons you've learned in life?
A lot. Oh gosh, most important lessons. Well, like I'd mentioned earlier, to let go and let God. Um, and then to not have expectations, at least set expectations. You got to kind of veer off the path a little bit. That's a good one. Let me think on this. To swallow your pride, to learn to swallow your pride. That I was a very prideful child. And something pretty big in my life happened where that was the biggest lesson that I learned. It was to swallow my pride. Because it was something that I couldn't take back. And that's the thing, we only have one shot, in this life. And so you don't ever want to leave words unspoken or say some words that you can't take back.
Right.
And a lot of that comes down to sometimes people have a problem swallowing their pride.
Absolutely do.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one. So
Yep.
that's a really good answer because I asked that question. That last question there, I asked that to everyone. Yes, I did.
That could stump somebody.
Yeah, I know. You've done so much for someone who's so young, Kaitlyn. To get to the level of being, vice president, started in your late 20s. The company is successful and huge as CBRE. It says so much about who you are as a person. I expect nothing but more positive things to come from you because you're definitely somebody who thinks big.
Oh, thank you.
I'd like to make sure I thank once again my sponsor for Think Big with Michael Zellner Platinum Jewelers. And Kaitlyn, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, you take care.
See ya.
Bye.